I've been accused many times of being racist due to, certain comments that I've made, and I'm not gonna lie. I've said some edgy things, okay? So, black viewer Chevois Noir called in to ask me about this. We had a really good conversation. We talked about racism. We talked about morality. We talked about the evils of public schools, the evils of child abuse, autism. So I think you guys are in for a real treat. I think you're going to enjoy this. If you'd like to schedule your own call-in, email me, yourfriendlyhood@protonmail.com. Tell me what you want to talk about. Tell me what times you're available, and we will talk about it. So, enjoy the content. What's going on, Chevy? So, in your email, you were asking me about my racism, and you were also asking me about like objective morality. So, what's the deal? What do you want to start with?
Okay, so I noticed that you use the N-word a lot. Now, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to start anything, right? Like, I'm not, just for everyone watching, I'm not calling him racist. I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to it's not me trying to flip him or whatever, but I am curious as to why you say it, just because the Bible talks about not being a stumbling block. And while it's not a stumbling block to me, and it's clearly not a stumbling block to you, or a lot of people that are longtime viewers, I could definitely see how it could be at least a little bit of a stumbling block to a lot of other viewers, right? So I just kind of wanted to hear you explain the usage of the word s'il vous plaît, if you please.
Man, I'm being put on the spot, man. I can't believe that you do this to me. Oh gosh, dude. It's gonna be.
I'm sorry.
This is a career ruining moment right now.
I had to do it. If anything,
we already had the career ruining moment. We already had the career ruining moments. They already happened. Nah. So,
of course.
Why do I use the N-word? I've used more slurs than that. I'm shocked that you didn't bring up the use of or the use of there's plenty more. I won't name them all, but there's plenty more. There's plenty more where that came from.
We can use the N-word as a catch-all, right?
It's a catch-all, and I love my camera steaming up again. But so basically, I guess the reason for that is because when I was growing up, okay, I was a fan of the edgy internet content, okay? I was a fan of Leafy. I was a fan of Filthy Frank. I was a fan of Mr. Medicare and stuff like that. And
true.
and so when I started making content on this channel, right? The content that I was making was literally it wasn't a ripoff, right? But it was Sam Hyde-esque, Leafy-esque, I don't know, reaction videos to again, all these videos are pretty much deleted now. But I would be making videos making fun of people on BitChute, when that website started. And so one of my first series was called Saving BitChute, right? And so I would be sitting here making reaction videos to I guess what do I even call them? Developmentally disabled, they socially impaired people on BitChute, right? And I would be making videos just reacting to their content, because when BitChute first started, right, it's full of all of these these people basically that would never make it on YouTube, right? They would never make it on YouTube because they're too, like I said, they're just too socially impaired, weird people to actually make it on a mainstream platform. So they go on this alt tech platform. And I'm just bullying them. Okay, that was the content. It's just bullying them.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of old YouTube was. Yeah, it was just peak. I mean, what? Keep going.
I mean, what? Yeah, but bro can't let it slip that he actually enjoys the content. He's like,
Yeah, yeah, no, no, because you keep naming like these old YouTubers, and like for a lot of people, I mean, I don't know like how your age skews like in terms of your views, but I've definitely been around YouTube since like 2008, 2010, so I've seen the whole growth, and I think it's time to let everyone know I'm like an internet cockroach, and that's always been my lane. So the second you said that you like that degenerate content, I was like, oh yeah, that's where I lived too.
that's where I live.
Yeah,
But
I'm right down the block.
yeah, so like that. So that's the content that I was making. So I got saved after having my YouTube channel. Like I didn't start my YouTube channel to be a Christian channel. So when I got saved, I already had this YouTube channel and I already had an audience. Now at the time, like it wasn't like a huge audience, but I had like 1,000 subs. I had, I got like, a few hundred views on my videos or so. So I already had an audience that watched me. I don't know how many of them still watch me at this point because I think I've successfully alienated everyone. Okay, not just like Christians, normal Christians that like they're a bit sensitive to like my sense of humor, but also just like everyone. Okay, like everyone from every walk of life, anyone who has, normal opinions, normal socially accepted opinions. I start talking about objective morality and people are like, I'm out of here. I start talking about how salvation's by grace through faith, not of works. People are like, I'm out of here. And so everyone hates me now. But so when I first got saved, right, for some reason I felt this strong like conviction or whatever that I had to use my channel for some kind of good purpose. I remember this, like, this is like back in like 2020, like late 2020. That's like a few months after I got saved. I started feeling this because I was still making videos and it was just like goy slop, right? It's just like goy slop, just making fun of people, bullying people. Like my most popular video was called Sargon of Applebee's. The story of Sargon of Applebee's. I don't know if you remember this guy. He still makes videos now. There's this guy named Sargon of Akkad, and he's like a very popular right-wing YouTuber. And I would just be bullying him, like, because I hated him. And I mean, for good reason. The guy has a very famous quote, one of the greatest quotes of all time, which is, I'm not going to repeat it, but he did say the words, depends on the child. And
I've heard that quote before.
And the context of this quote, right, is child rape.
Oh my God.
His answer to the question about it was, depends on the child.
Oh, that's crazy. Like I've heard the quote, but I didn't know that I think I've seen that clip too. I thought it was like edited, I think.
No, it's not. That is real. That is a real quote.
Oh my God, that's insanity.
This is like kind of like getting off into the weeds. So like, why do I use the N-word in my videos, right? So I was already using the N-word before I got saved, because I'm growing up in the old internet community, just like you. You were talking about how like you were watching all that stuff, and that was just how people talked, because people had no because like back in that time, in that era, there was less people on the internet. And because there were less people on the internet, there was sort of this culture that you get indoctrinated into. Today, there's so many people, that like you make a video and you're basically like screaming into a void because it'll never reach anyone. Whereas like in the past, right, everyone shared the same sort, like everyone's watching the same sorts of videos. everyone is talking about the same stuff. Everyone's going on the same websites, right? And
Yeah.
so you're indoctrinated into this culture, into this way of thinking, to this way of speaking, this way of presenting yourself. And so that's a part of it. It's like a part of it was radical total self-expression, which I know like maybe sounds cringe. It is
Well, no,
kind of cringe.
I mean, it is cringe, but I get it because, like you were saying, back in the day, like the internet, and like you said, I was there too. Like back in the day, there wasn't a lot of people on the internet, and people didn't police the internet, and so it really was the Wild West. Like people say that now, but like society is so different. Like the internet is kind of a part of everything, so I don't think a lot of people understand. I'm not saying it's okay. I don't think it's okay. But like a lot of it was just basically like that culture. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
It's chill, man. We're here for the conversation. We're not here for the hood rants. Well,
Yeah.
that's not true. People are probably here for the hood rants. I don't know, but
Yeah.
but you know, I'm here for the conversation. Okay, I want to have like a conversation. You know, if the
I
person I'm talking to, like you know, Chevy, if you're gonna like go off and like just like have like an epic, your own epic hood rant, the most dangerous thing, an epic hood rant. I'm down for it, bro. I'm down for it.
it might happen because I have some things listed that, but we can't put the cart before the horses,
Yeah,
right?
I gotta finish answering your question. I gotta
Yeah,
finish
yeah,
answering your
yeah,
question.
yeah. You got
So
it.
okay. So basically I guess the reason I say the N-word is because on the internet there was this, and I still hold to it, is that we all believe that the internet should be free speech, that nothing should be censored on the internet, and that people should be able to express themselves, okay? And so the N-word is like the like you said, it's like the catch-all sort of test of censorship, the test of how free speech you are. Because the
Hmm.
N-word is like the most offensive word, okay? Everyone gets offended
Yeah.
by it. Black people get offended by it. Not everyone, okay? Not everyone. Obviously, there are some people who don't have like thin skin, but the N-word offends everyone, and it offends, you know, a lot of black people. It offends white people. It offends men, and it offends women. It offends everyone.
Yeah.
And so I guess like kind of the purpose of me saying it, I guess, is that I sort of have this this inner need that I have to like rebel against the censorship of the internet, which I mean at this point it's like, you know, it's impossible to really change, right? But I feel like
Right.
I have to rebel against the censorship of the internet, and I have to like you know, keep free speech alive. And I guess that's just my way of just like saying I'm still a free man on the internet. But it's not a
Yeah.
racial thing, right? Because I don't hate black people. I mean, we're having a conversation right now, and you're black.
Yeah.
I'm,
I am
you know,
black. Just
I'm
letting
not
everyone know.
I'm not out here, you know, with my whip, and I'm like, listen here, boy, you're gonna you're
Yeah.
gonna pick that cotton.
Right. You're just saying because like we said earlier, it's just a different time. Like I don't think that the majority of people who use the internet now really don't know just how like raunchy and like just degenerate internet users were, because this is before you could be a YouTuber and have it be respected. This was before like content creation was like even really a thing. This was before like copyright, before like YouTube ads. Like you could go online and watch like full movies in 7 parts. Like this is
That's
that
so
type of
real, dude. I
internet.
forgot about that.
Oh no, no,
You'd
I
be
didn't
watching
forget.
like Ghost in the Shell, and it's like split up into like 17 parts. It's like a mini
Yeah,
series.
yeah, exactly. And like the internet, like it was a new time, and like because it was like degenerate, or like because it was like new and unpoliced, a lot of the outsiders of society would kind of conglomerate onto the internet. And I was one of them. And we would go, like, everyone has heard like the famous story of like the Call of Duty chat logs, right? Where like people would go in, including myself, and we would like, I mean, right? We'd come in and we would just say whatever we wanted, right? And that was just the culture. Is it right? No, I don't think it's right. But I mean, just that's just how it was. But my follow up question was, setting aside like the free speech aspect, right? What do you think about the idea that using that term in terms like it might be a stumbling block for people's faiths?
Well,
Just a
so do you
question.
think it's a stumbling block for people's faiths?
I think it definitely is. I think it can be, depending
Why?
on the person you're talking to. Just because like even with the idea of free speech, there are some people who just like can't get past it. You know what I mean? Like there's some, like if they hear it, they're immediately like, boom, like that's it.
Yeah. I mean,
That,
I see why. I see why you say that. I just wanted your thoughts, because I'm open to never using the N-word again. I'm open because, like, here's the thing. Obviously, right? If I'm preaching to someone who isn't gonna like me cursing, I'm not gonna curse in front of them. And we know cursing isn't a sin. And even making racial comments isn't a sin, because the Bible makes racial comments. If you read Titus, okay?
right.
I'm pretty sure it's in Titus. It's in Titus chapter 1. Paul is talking about the Cretians. So these are people from the island of Crete, okay?
Yeah.
And he's talking about how Cretians are like lazy and like basically like berating their entire people and saying how all the stereotypes about Cretians are right.
Right.
Like he literally says that. That's like a quote in the Bible. And like, of course, like we know, I mean, because there's more to it than like me saying the N-word, because I do say stuff that is like considered, politically incorrect and socially unacceptable. But like something that, like, first of all, something that we have to understand is that the Bible does talk about people in groups. And the Bible says like, oh, all the Amalekites just deserve to be put to death. Like that's a thing that happens in the Bible,
Yeah.
And maybe this is another topic. Maybe we'll get back to this, but so that's number one, like making racial comments about people is not a sin. It's a sin if what you're saying is unjust and untrue, right? I don't know if you agree with that. What do you think about that?
Well, first let me like restate it so that I can see if I can understand it. So you're saying that like the comment itself on a particular culture isn't racist inherently if you're not using it to hate on them. Like for example, like if I said like, okay, oh wait, no, I should be careful about the example that I
Yeah, you probably
use.
shouldn't give an example. You probably shouldn't.
Yeah. Well,
Or if you're
let
gonna
me
give
say
an
like,
example, make it like really wacky or something. Okay.
yeah. So like, let's say like looking at like a red-eyed tree frog, and I'm like, man, those red-eyed tree frogs are like really. Oh, no. I have a better example. There's like a lot of people say that golden retrievers are like really, really like catty, like or like really social. Like they, and if I said that, yeah, golden retrievers make a lot of noise, it doesn't mean that I hate them. It doesn't mean that I like disrespect them inherently. It's like stating a fact, right? And at least I think that's what you're saying, right? Am
Yeah.
I interpreting that right?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like,
Um.
so
Okay.
like that's just like one thing. That's one aspect. So like number one, right? The Bible never condemns cursing, and the Bible uses curse words. There's a verse in Isaiah where it talks about drinking your own piss. It uses the word
Yeah.
piss, by the way, piss in the King James Bible. So
Mm-hmm.
the Bible uses curse words. It never condemns it.
Mm-hmm.
It also does not condemn making racial statements. Now, it does condemn unjust hatred, right? So like, like when if I was to think of like someone who's racist, right? Someone who's like actually racist, what I would consider like, or like what sinfully racist, or what is the sin of racism, right? However you want to put it. That is someone who like looks at black people or looks, it could be anyone, looks at white people, even. It could be like looking at Asian people, right? We're just using black people as an example because when people are talking about racism, it's always about black people for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. It's always about black people. When you're racist towards Jewish people, that's anti-Semitism, But anyways.
Yeah, well, I think nowadays it's picking up to where like people of Spanish descent, like Latino American people, I think it's like picking up, but like that's because of like American politics, but we don't have to get into that. But keep going with what you were saying.
Anyways, so, but if you look at black people and you're like, now no one's saying like literally say this, but they're essentially saying that black people have a sinful nature, right? They say black people have this like inherently sinful nature that just like forces them to like do evil. And there's no way that a black person can ever do good, or that, and this is like what people literally think, like, black people can't do good because there's something wrong with them genetically or spiritually that prevents them from being able to. That's what they believe. Like, I know people who believe that. So like, this isn't like some, exaggerated thing. There are really people living on Earth that believe things like this, and that's what I consider to be like sinful and evil. Okay. So like, you just like hate black people. Okay. Like you're literally just hating black people because they're black. I can understand disliking some black people in some areas like of the world, because there are people that are, of that skin tone, let's just say, who live in some areas and they're great people and they follow God. Like you're one of them. And there's black people in other areas who do evil, and that's their culture, is just doing evil. Okay? And in the same way, there's white people in some areas who love God and want to follow God, and there's white people in some areas whose whole culture is doing evil and sinning against everyone. These are just facts. Like, this is just reality. Okay? And as Christians, this is like another thing. As Christians, we're not even supposed to identify with a race. The Bible says that the dividing wall between us has been taken away, and that we have become one new man. So the Bible's talking about becoming a new race. Like when we get our resurrected bodies, the physical distinctions between you and I, Chevy, right, are going to be taken away. The dividing wall will be taken away. And we will be one new man, one new ethnicity, one new race, one new people. Okay? That's a part of the resurrection. And we're called to look at ourselves as already being risen from the dead. So as Christians, like as a Christian myself anyways, I don't think of myself as an American. I'm not a citizen of America. I'm a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And I don't look at myself as white, because I'm not white. I'm a Jew. Okay?
Right.
Not a child of the flesh living in Israel. Okay, we're talking about like the real biblical definition of a Jew. I'm a Jew. Okay? I'm an Israelite. And I am not Irish. I'm not, Anglo. I'm, like I said, I'm Jewish. I'm an Israelite. I'm a son of Abraham. That's what I am. That's how I identify. And I don't identify with these Gentile cultures. And I don't identify with, the Gentile traditions that Gentiles follow. And I have no interest in being a part of it. So that's another thing, right? I don't like white people. I don't like black people. I know that sounds like bad out of context, whatever. But what I mean is that I don't identify with these people and think, oh, black people have this like really good culture that I want to be a part of, or white people have this really good culture that I want to be a part of. Every people on Earth.
You're not focused on the you're not focused on the culture aspect. Like you're not being like, oh, like I like the culture of these groups of people, or I'm not like you're not fixated on trying to what's like assimilating, I guess is the right word.
Yeah, no. I don't want black people to act like white people. And I don't want, Mexicans that come across the border to assimilate to American culture. I want everyone to assimilate to Christian culture. And I want everyone to keep the laws of God. And that will be our traditions and that will be our culture. That's what I want.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And that's what God wants.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just like understanding what you're saying. Like it's not like you're saying like you want kingdom culture. I know that was like a buzzword back in the day. Like you want the kingdom culture. You're not like let's stop trying to like promote. You're saying let's stop trying to promote black culture. Let's stop trying to promote white culture. Let's stop trying to promote Hispanic culture, Asian culture, or Russian culture, right? Let's start promoting quote kingdom culture, biblical culture is what it sounds like saying.
Yeah.
Like the start, yeah.
Okay. So from a Christian perspective, okay, we're allowed to look at other ethnicities because we are our own ethnicity now. We have been grafted in to the tribe of Judah, okay? We've been grafted into Israel. We've been grafted into Abraham, okay? And we are God's chosen people. We are, not only are we allowed to, but we're supposed to look at other people groups and judge them for their sins. I look at white people and I see the sins of white people and I don't like what they do. I don't like what white people in America do. Okay? They have their own sins. Number one, like one of the primary sins that white people commit is they think that money is morality. That's a huge thing. Is so they look down upon people who make less money as them as though that is some kind of moral determinant on their character as a human being.
Okay.
So that's evil. That's an evil cultural practice, which is, I mean, there are probably other people that do this too. Like we know shoes do this. We know the 12-piece McNuggets do this, right? And and I'm sure, but like that's like a thing. That's like a very huge thing with white people, and that needs to stop, right? And there are cultural practices in America that need to stop, like lying to children that there is a man in a red suit that comes down their chimney. Lying to children is not okay. It's evil.
Yeah.
It is sinful to lie to your children and tell them Santa is real. It's a sin. You're bearing false witness. You're breaking one of the 10 Commandments.
Right. So I see what you're saying. I can understand the sentiment of kingdom culture, and I think that the idea of like, hey, like let's stop focusing on cultural promoting our own cultures and start promoting on like what the Bible says, right? I definitely understand, and I do agree that that could definitely be a stumbling block, and I definitely can understand why. Like I'm talking like the word itself was like my own is not even because like I grew up a little bit differently, so I don't usually get offended over most things, so I'm not offended. But I was just like wanting to hear like how you laid out your rationale.
I got like off topic. I got off topic.
No, you're good. You're good.
I felt like that's like related to the point of me trying to bring all that up is that I'm trying to like establish that I am actually trying to establish that saying the word or saying something that's derogatory towards any race is not inherently evil. Okay? Like, that's actually what I'm trying to say. I don't think saying the word in and of itself, whatever slur it is towards any group, is inherently wrong. Okay? So I just got to put that out there. And people can take it or leave it. You have to justify in the Bible, right? We can say, okay, it hurts black people's feelings when you use the N-word. It hurts white people's feelings when you call them white boy or you call them like cracker or something. I don't even know, right? I mean, so like, okay, great, thanks. That's not the determining factor on what's right and wrong. God's law is the determining factor on what's right and wrong. So you're gonna have to logically reason, using the laws of logic, based upon what God says in the Bible, to establish that saying it's wrong. And I know you're not even saying it's wrong, or maybe you are. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think that when I look at that, the only way I would even put forth the argument is what I laid out in the question of saying, do you think it'd be a stumbling block for other people to use it? Like, because you were saying, like, how would I logically lay out it being wrong? And to me, that'd be like the only path you could go, right?
Yeah.
Because the way that you laid it out, it's like, okay, like, yes, you're like, it'd be like the same thing as like saying, like, hey, uh, like Rottweilers are dangerous dogs. It's not saying you don't love them. It's kind of like the same concept. And I guess my the way that I would look at that is being like, that's true. But if it's like stumbling, like I wouldn't eat meat in front of a vegetarian like the Bible says, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't like say this word or any word that I think would be a stumbling block for people, because I don't want there to be unnecessary confusion. Um, because I'm like, my point is the gospel. Now, there are some words, I don't think that the N word or any slur is one of them. But I do think that there are some words that are necessary. Oh, why did I say it like that? That are necessary to say. Like I said, I don't think that slurs are any of them. But I think that in general, that's the only way that I would like logically build that case, would to be like, yeah, it is true, and they like there is like, yeah, we don't go based off of people's emotions, we go based off of what the Bible says. However, there are some things that the Bible says, like, hey, like, if you don't have an issue with this but your neighbor does, then it's like a huge thing, just kind of chill out with it. And I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm just saying that's how I look at it. And you did say earlier in the conversation that you wouldn't like cuss in front of somebody who has an issue with it, right? So that's kind of like how I'm looking at it.
Well, yeah. So that's my answer to your question, like what you just said. But I'll state it I'll state it for myself, so I guess you can know what exactly I mean or whatever, right? Yeah. I don't think that it is right if you're talking to someone who is offended by saying stuff like that to say it. And yeah. I don't think, like, if I'm going out and I'm doing evangelism around black people, I'm not going like, yo, or yo,
right.
Yo, I'm not talking to them like that. And yeah. If I'm going to old grandma walking down the street, I'm not going to go, yo, these work salvationists are stupid and they're sending people to hell. I'm not going to talk to them like that, you know?
Right.
Because I am not in the business of trying to stumble people when I'm trying to bring them to the faith, right? And right. So then you gotta ask, okay, well then is it like okay for me to use it on my channel, right? And yeah. I guess that's a good question, right? And so like I'm open to not doing it anymore. But I also don't think that my target audience for my channel is people that would be offended by it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So I don't really feel a need to stop because I don't ever see anyone complain about it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying too. And I'm not like sitting here being like, yo, chill out, right? Even though that's what some people would want me to do, because I kind of respect people's rights to do what they want. I wouldn't do it if I was in that position. And I'm not saying like, if it were me, right? But like, I guess that's kind of what I am saying. If it were me, I'd just kind of be like, you know what? I'd rather just keep my content just on the off chance I post like the right video dissing the right work salvationist at the right time and it like blows up, right? But I see what you're saying, and I just wanted to like hear how you would lay out your rationale for it, just because it was interesting to me. You definitely did answer my question.
I mean, let me tell you this though. There is one exposed video that got made on me like 2 years ago now. And it's
Hmm.
called something, I can't find it right now. I was gonna pull it up. But it's called something like Fuego Savvy and Your Friendly Hood Exposed for like saying racial slurs or like something like this. And
Yeah,
what the video is like, they're like complaining that me and Fuego Savvy made racist jokes, basically. Like that was the video. And that's the
yeah.
only person who's even said anything about me saying it. I mean, up until you. Up until you asking the question.
That is interesting, and I will tell you that like the only reason that I know that you say it is because when I first got into your channel, I like watched all of your Rumble content. And I was like, oh, okay, so I can see that. And then I watched your streams, and like once in every blue moon you say it. But I know the way the internet works. It's like they're gonna catch it eventually. So I was like, I just wonder how he would uh, lay that out. But um, that is interesting. I do appreciate your willingness to answer that particular question. And I do want to reiterate before I talk about this next little question, because these two questions aren't even the big things that I want to talk about, which I think is funny. But I just did want to say, like, again, that like, because we were talking about internet culture before, like the internet culture back in the day was just such a different time online. I don't think a lot of people understand like just the gravity of it, because I know there's a lot of like YouTubers now that are like being exposed for being like racist or this or that or whatever. And I do think that the jokes that people used to say back in the day were insensitive in the sense that like they didn't pay attention to certain groups when they used the words. But I don't necessarily think it's because of like any hatred towards them, like that particular group. I think it was just like we were just being edgy, right? Not only were we teenagers, but we were online and we were all clicked up online. So like we were just trying to be edgy. We were just trying to be this. We were just trying to be that. And then as I grew up, I was like, oh no, this is not it. Let me chill out. And then I kind of like chilled out. But um I don't want to like force you to like get off the topic if you have something else to say. But I think I've pretty much covered everything.
Well, I do want to say you brought up like one more thing for me, right? That I feel like I
Hmm.
had to bring up. If you listen to any of the times that I've said anything that like sounds racist, I've never made a racist joke, I don't think, on my channel. I can't think of a time that I've actually said something that is a racist joke. I've said the N-word, but I don't think you can find it. Like the most racist thing that I think I've done on my channel is I did an edit of Mike Winger in blackface.
Well, I haven't seen that. I
Well,
I haven't
I
seen.
think the videos got like taken down or something.
Well, that makes
It
sense.
was in my Bryson Gray video. And I made
Okay.
a joke about how Mike Winger is racist, and I pulled up a picture of him like edited in blackface. So,
Yeah.
but
That.
I don't know. I think I just say it literally just because the word is like unexpected and like edgy. I really do
It's
think
like
that's
it's like shock
the
value.
motivation. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I
Yeah, but
gotta
let's.
repent. Maybe I gotta repent. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm
It might
open.
be that.
People in the chat, tell me, what do you think? Should I repent? Should I stop saying the N word? Should I stop saying the F slur? Should I stop saying Should I start saying the R slur? No, should I stop saying the
Oh
R
no.
slur? What do you
I
guys
think
think?
it. I think if you're focused on your reach and like having people like being able to hear it online, I think it would be beneficial. But I can't. I would say but I'm not saying it in the sense that you're like an asshole. I'm just saying like for the purpose of relations. But that's the I'm just talking about the word. But that is that first question. I don't know if you had anything else
I have
you
nothing else
wanted
to
to
say on
say on
this.
it.
Yeah, so we got to get to this
Okay.
next question about morality.
Okay. So this is the question because I really, really do like the new like morality series that you're doing because like it talks about morality. And I feel like a lot of people don't a lot of Christian YouTubers don't really cover morality in depth, especially not from like what people would call like the free grace or like free grace adjacent communities. They kind of focus on salvation, and even communities that are like work salvation and things like that. They don't necessarily talk about morality because I don't know, people just aren't into it. And I feel like once they started talking about morality, people would like get offended. Oh, you're saying that's wrong and leave, right? But my question is when you were laying out what morality is off of the definitions, you use the term universally preferred behavior. And I know you gave a reason why you say it like that. Um, but I wanted to kind of like hear like why you use the term universally preferred. And I guess so you know where I'm coming from with that. The reason why I heard that and I was like, is because like not everybody prefers to do what God wants them to do, right? So I was like saying, in what sense is it universal? And in what sense is it preferred? If that makes sense.
Yes. So a lot of people, for some reason, I'm not trying to put you on blast, okay?
Okay.
But a lot of people mishear me when I say universally preferable behavior, and they hear the word preferred.
Nah,
Now,
that's what I heard.
I gotta, and I know this sounds like nitpicking, right? But there's actually a big difference between the word prefer able and prefer id. And listen, I'm not trying to put you on blast, okay? Don't
I
get
mean, I
like
didn't know
offended.
that. I
Okay.
didn't know there was a difference. So,
Okay.
um,
So prefer able, what that is supposed to elucidate is that it is able to be preferred by universally. Okay, so universally prefer able, that means it's able to be preferred by everyone. That doesn't mean that it is preferred by everyone, which is what universally preferred behavior would mean.
mhm.
Universally preferable means that via logical reasoning, you are able to prefer this behavior, and that's able to be preferred by everyone logically. Okay?
Right.
So that's a very big distinction. So why did I choose that term, right? That's what you were asking.
Yeah, specifically like the universally prefer able behavior. Like what are you trying what idea are you trying to convey?
So, all right. So this has to do with actually considering what morality is, right?
Okay.
So if you go look up the definition of morality, I think the dictionary does it extreme injustice, right? Because
Hmm.
when you look up the dictionary definition of morality, it just says like knowing the difference between good and bad.
Right.
That's like a really crappy definition. Because
Yeah.
what does it mean for something to be good? What does it mean for something to be bad? And what's the significance of this? Because, and then here's the thing, we can judge things as being good and bad, and it's not a moral statement. Like, I thought that the song sounded good. I thought the song sounded bad. That's not a moral
Hmm.
judgment. And no one would say that's a moral judgment, right?
Right.
But yeah, if I say murder is good or murder is bad, instantly we have this feeling of a moral judgment, and we intuitively know it's a moral judgment. If we've heard of the word morality before, we know it's a moral judgment, right?
Right.
So it's not just as simple as knowing the difference between good and bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first question is, what category do the terms good and bad fall under, right? And I would say that they would fall under like descriptions of preference. So, for example, like we were just talking about, I thought the song was good. That means I preferred the song. I thought the song was bad. That means I did not prefer the song. Okay?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But in this case, this is personal preference. And of course, morality is not really about any preference. It's not about any preference, but it's specifically about preferences for behavior. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I prefer murder or I don't prefer murder. Okay? That's getting closer to a moral statement because, you know, murder is a behavior, and the only things that can be moral or immoral is a behavior, right?
Right.
You never see the Bible saying an object is bad, right? In fact, you know, Paul says, you know, all things are lawful, right? So all things, all objects, like, you know, even pork is lawful, okay? If you pray over it and, you know, you wash your hands and stuff when you eat it and all, it's lawful. According to I think it's like a 1 Timothy that says that, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it's I don't remember the passage.
I know where it is. Yeah,
it's in 1 Timothy, but I don't know
lawful,
where.
Yeah.
Don't know the chapter, don't know the verse, but it's in 1 Timothy.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is lawful. Everything is lawful, right? But it's the behaviors that are not lawful. Okay? So, you know, for example, right, we can have a painting of a naked woman, I think, right? And I don't think that we would necessarily say that that's sinful to have the painting, right? Or for that painting to exist, or the painting itself is sinful.
Right.
Right? And there are scenarios where a woman in real life can be naked, and that's not sinful, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, point being that there are things that you do that are sinful, right? Not the objects themselves. So the naked painting of a woman isn't sinful, but if you're painting that as pornography, that's sinful. And if you are, you know, masturbating, I hate how there's not like a nice word to use to refer to this. Why isn't there a nice euphemism? What did you say?
Pleasure. I said self-pleasure. I don't know.
Okay.
Yourself.
I feel like masturbating is less bad than self-pleasure. That sounds worse to me. I don't know. That sounds worse. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just throwing stuff out. Yeah.
You know, whatever. We're all adults here, hopefully. You know, now that YouTube's forcing you to verify your age. Okay. So you know, if you're masturbating to the image of a naked woman, well, now that's a sin. Your behavior is a sin, right?
Yeah.
It's not the object itself. So, all right, we got all this out of the way.
Yeah.
So morality is a preference about behavior. But, right, I could just say, I like the massage, or I don't like the massage. Well, that's not moral either, even though it's a preference about behavior. Because that's a subjective preference. And of course, you know, what morality really is, right, is it's saying that some behavior is bad and it's always bad and there's no exceptions to it being bad, right? And that's what sets apart morality from other subjective preferences, right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, people can argue that, well, morality is subjective or whatever, but that's not necessarily true, right? So you could argue, right, that there is no way for morality to exist, and that what people call morality is just simply their subjective preference. You can say that, but you can't say that morality is subjective, because that's a self-contradictory statement. Because what morality is it's a statement that some kind of behavior is always wrong and it's never right.
Yeah. So it can't be subjective based on the definition of the word morality.
Now you can say morality doesn't exist, and I'm open to that argument, but I'm not open to saying like morality itself is subjective. Okay, because it can't definitionally be. My morality, my view on morality could be subjective and wrong and not actually be moral. But morality itself can't be, it can't be subjective. So if you're trying to break down the definition of morality, the definition of morality is what I call it: universally preferable behavior. That's what it is. Because it's a universal preference about behavior. That's what a moral statement is.
Yeah.
So like amoral, right? Not the word amoral, but a space moral, okay? Would be like murder is wrong. So, or murder is bad, right? That is a preference about a behavior, and it's a universalized statement that applies to everyone, everywhere, at all times.
Yeah.
So all
I think
morals,
I see what you're saying.
All morals are universal preferences. But morality is universally preferable behavior. So.
Oh, okay.
So
it's like.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
So it's like behavior. When you say universally preferable behavior, you're saying it's a behavior that everybody, which is the universal part, and then the preferable, it's like everybody, or like this behavior is good for everybody.
Well,
and then you go ahead.
It's more so that it's a behavior that everybody can prefer. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. And then you lay out why it can be preferred.
Yeah. So for example, right, an example of a non-universally preferable behavior would be theft. Okay, so let's look up the dictionary definition of theft, right? Let's look it up, right? So according to this, it is the action of stealing from someone, right? So I guess now we have to look up, what does stealing mean, right? Taking another person's property without permission or legal right. So theft, right, which the Bible says is a sin, thou shalt not steal, is taking someone's property without their permission. So in other words, you're taking someone's property without them wanting you to, right? That would be theft. So in other words, you taking someone's property, but they don't prefer you to take it.
And then because of that, it's not universally preferable.
Yeah.
Because it can't be preferred to the person who you're taking from.
Yeah, so theft cannot be preferred. It's impossible.
Right.
Okay? Now, another example is murder. Murder is the unjust killing of someone. That can't be preferred by the innocent person being killed.
Yeah, because they die.
But more than that, it's impossible for you to reason if the person's a fully logical person It's impossible for you to reason that that person's worthy of death. Whereas if someone was worthy of death, like they're a pedophile, you could reason to them and make them realize that they are actually worthy of death, right? You can't do that with an innocent person.
Yeah. I mean, you have people who will try to reason it, but I don't think that, I mean, you have people who will try, you know, that they'll try to reason that, like, you know, like back when like the end game came out and everybody was like, oh, well, all of a sudden the world has not enough resources, so we can use that to justify innocent people dying, right? You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but like the point in bringing that up is
Everyone
like
became
people are
Thanos for a moment.
right. Like it, but the point I was trying to make is that people do try to justify the death of innocent people all the time, and we see that.
Yeah, so here's the thing though.
Mhm.
The concept of universally preferable behavior is based upon logic. And so you have to logically reason that something can be universally preferred by everyone. And when you consider this, you can't just consider the immediate results of the action, but you have
True.
to
Good point.
consider all of the effects and how it would affect everyone, because it's something that has to be preferred by everyone in order for it to be
Yeah.
universally preferable.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Right. Right.
so for like an example of something that people could justify is gay sex, okay? Because immediately it doesn't immediately hurt someone, right? Immediately.
Right.
Except it actually like does, but that's another thing that we could talk about maybe. But it doesn't immediately hurt someone, okay?
Right. 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 Right.
But it has consequences beyond what the immediate consequences are.
Right. Right.
Because you're doing something that's going to spread diseases, and you're going to get other people sick, and you're going to kill them through this sickness. You're probably going to kill your partner eventually at some point by doing all this stuff, or cause them some kind of injury. You know, there's all kinds of things that you can point to as consequences that are indirect consequences of the behavior. And then, you know, it's also going to cause you to say things and act in certain ways that are more sexual than is socially acceptable, and you're going to hurt children by talking and
True.
acting in ways that are unnatural, and you're going to cause them to have sexual dysfunction. There's all kinds of things that happen, but they're not, none of them are direct.
Yeah. They're indirect. They
Like
don't happen immediately.
if you're only considering the direct consequences of it, right? Obviously, fornication, for example, the direct consequences of the act while you're in the bedroom hurts no one. And gay sex hurts no one.
Right. Yeah.
It's only when you consider the consequences beyond the immediate action. So fornication, it doesn't hurt the two people that are there instantaneously, but it does hurt the woman if she tries to get married and then her husband divorces her because he finds out that he didn't marry a virgin and that she's been with someone else.
Right.
And it does hurt the man fornicating when his wife finds out that he was cheating on her, right?
Right.
And
Also, a little side note, I'm gonna mute myself because I'm in a noisy area, but keep talking. I'm still listening.
well, so
I'm listening.
it can't be universally preferred, even though the immediate actions are preferable to both parties. It's not universally preferred. It's kind of like that meme, you know, your body, my choice, but it's literally real. Okay, something can't be moral if it can't be preferred by everyone, if it cannot be preferred by everyone. And there's no logical way for that to be preferred by everyone. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's what universally preferable behavior is, and that's what morality is. So I believe that is the best definition for morality, because it is what everyone understands morality to be. Everyone inherently understands morality to be that. It's a universal behavior preference. It's a behavior that we want everyone not to do, right?
Right. Like it's a behavior that is able to be taken on by everybody because of what you're telling them to do.
Yeah. But even more than this, I believe that this definition of morality is what most closely aligns with biblical morality. Because the Bible says, do unto others as you want others to do unto you. That's the law. That's love your neighbor as yourself, right? Same thing. Mm-hmm. You are treating others in a way, your behavior towards others, it has to be preferable by you. So you have to put yourself in their shoes and say, would I prefer this behavior if I was them? So that's the same thing as trying to mentally logic, is this universally preferable? How do you do that? Well, you imagine if you were your mom, would my mom prefer this behavior? And if I was my wife, would my wife prefer this behavior? If I was the person who I'm talking to right now, if I was Chevy Noir, would I prefer this behavior? So you got to love your neighbors yourself,
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I see what you're saying. So it's basically, it's like you were saying, like it's a behavior that you're not saying it's universally preferred, like everyone prefers it. You're saying that these are things that are able to be universally preferred because they are loving your neighbor as yourself, and society can function optimally that way, I guess, is a way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately the point, right? That is what morality is. I believe there are benefits to morality. I think that the consequences of not following morality are borne out plainly in human history,
Facts. That's a very good point. Yeah. That actually leads into like a third thing that I want to talk about a little bit, but yeah, no, that's a good answer to the question. That makes a lot of sense to me. So I don't know if you're ready to move on. Is there something more that you wanted to say
I'm
about
ready
that?
to move on. I don't really have anything else to say.
Okay. So the fourth, Jesus Christ. The third thing that I want to talk about is like less of like a question and like more of like a lot of things about like modern society. Because when you talk about morality, right, and you talk about universally preferable behaviors, what you're doing is you're laying out why certain behaviors are better than others in the lens of loving your neighbor as yourself. And obviously are like there's a lot of facets of our modern society that like aren't like that, right? And they're kind of built on not loving your neighbor as yourself. Um, and there are certain like things that you've mentioned in past streams that I kind of wanted to like pick your brain on because I think they're interesting, and I think that like laying them out would be beneficial for the body of Christ. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is like the concept of public school, and you actually answered this in like one of your streams, but it wasn't like the main topic of the stream. So you were saying, well, they asked you why you thought public school was bad, and so I guess that's like my question too. Like, what is it about public school that you don't like? Because I don't particularly. I think there's a lot of issues with public school, but I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you talk about it.
That's like a very deep question, bro. It's gonna like turn to like an hour long rant.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
the
That's what
first
I
issue
hear.
with public school is who's running public school, right? I
Right.
mean that's the first question. Who's running public school? Because you got to realize, we were talking about this in the last call-in show, right?
Yeah.
Not you and me, but like the people who are watching this, they know what I'm talking about. And you probably watched the last one too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
so
yeah.
in the last call-in show, you know, I was talking about this with Leon or whatever, and I was talking about how you know, history's written by the victors, and so everyone's biased. And if you go to an American school, right, you're not going to hear anything positive towards Hitler, because in America, we're the ones that fought Hitler. So you're getting something that's inherently biased, whether for better or for worse, right? And I'm anti-Hitler, right? I'm an anti-fascist.
Yeah.
So, but for better or for worse, you're not hearing anything pro-Hitler. I personally think it is for worse, though, because people don't actually know what Hitler really believed. And what's very scary is that a lot of what is going on in America right now, the sort of political movements in America, are all based upon things that Hitler believed. And I personally think a lot of the reason why they don't tell people what Hitler believed is because they believe the same things, but they want to be the ones executing it, and they didn't want Hitler to execute it. Now, that's like a deeper subject for another time, right? But maybe it's not for another time. I mean, maybe we should just talk about it and be out on the open with it, because I think it is it's relevant to the question, I guess. So
I think we should go into it. But that's just me.
So Hitler was a Gnostic, okay? People say he was a pagan. That's not really true. The only thing pagan about Hitler is he called God the All-Father, or Odin, okay? But he was not a pagan, okay? And that needs to be cleared up. He was not a Norse pagan worshipping Odin and Thor and Freya. He believed in only one God, and that was Odin. And Odin was an omnipotent, all-powerful being, like our God, Jehovah. And he believed that the entire universe itself was Jehovah. And he believed, or sorry, not Jehovah, Odin. Sorry, my apologies. Though he probably would have said something like Odin is Jehovah, because he also called himself a Christian. So
yeah, he did, yeah.
So he probably would say Jehovah too, but got to get it right how he would probably put it. So he would probably say Odin, though. The All-Father. I'll say All-Father because that's like a little easier. So the whole universe is the All-Father, and that's what he primarily used, All-Father. The whole universe is the All-Father, and the All-Father has fallen asleep, and we are his dream. And all of this suffering in the world and all of the hardship in the world is caused by the fact that the All-Father Odin has fallen asleep and is not consciously aware of the things that he's doing, the suffering he's causing in his dreams. And so we need to wake up the All-Father, God, from his slumber so that the suffering of the world will come to an end. Okay? And so he believed that in order to accomplish this, that all humans must unite into a collective consciousness so that we can basically scream into God's mind, wake up, so that the universe would stop existing and like all the suffering would come to an end. So basically what Hitler is trying to do, okay, is like imagine you're having a dream, right? And in the dream, one of your dream characters comes and tells you to wake up, you're in a dream. Basically, that's what Hitler wanted to do. And he believed that the only way to accomplish that is by uniting all of humanity together into one collective consciousness that all thought the same way, all acted the same way, all talked the same way. They were all of one mind, right?
Okay.
And that was his religious beliefs. Now, Hitler got these religious beliefs because he used to be a communist, and he was an elected official in a communist civil war break-off state in Bavaria before he became the leader of the National Socialist Party and then the leader of Germany. So at the end of World War I, there was a civil war, and there was a communist state in Bavaria, a Soviet republic in Bavaria. And Hitler was an elected official in this communist state. So he was a communist as much as he would talk about hating communists.
Right.
Now, communists get their beliefs from Karl Marx. And Karl Marx believed all of this. He didn't call God Odin, no. He called God the universe. Okay? And his religious system was called dialectical materialism. Okay? So this whole religious system that we're talking about is Karl Marx's dialectical materialism. Okay?
Okay.
The US government also seems to believe in a form of dialectical materialism. Okay? Because have you ever heard of critical race theory?
Yeah.
Critical race theory, okay, is literally what Hitler believed. The only difference is Hitler believed that Jewish people were the bad guys, whereas critical race theory people believed that white people were the bad guys. And Karl Marx also believed that Jewish people were the bad guys as well. So it's the same thing, but instead of Jewish people, it's white people. So that's the only difference. What Hitler believed is that Jewish people were keeping back society from uniting into one collective consciousness because they were so self-centered and greedy and focused on capitalism that they were preventing people from realizing that we're all just a part of the same universe, bro, and uniting together. And so Hitler believed that in order for humanity to finally unite together, that Jewish people had to be done away with. Okay, and that's what the Holocaust was about. Although, what even happened in the Holocaust, who even knows, right? But because Hitler wanted to create the state of Israel. A lot of people don't know he was a Zionist, so that's another thing. But we don't need to get into that, right? So So
go ahead.
That's Hitler's beliefs. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was also a socialist. The New Deal was a socialist revolution in America to make the American state more communist and socialist. Hitler is also a socialist. Okay? So it's all socialism, and all socialism is based upon dialectical materialism, which comes from Marx. Okay? So the reason that they don't tell you about Hitler is because they don't want you to point the finger at them. Because they believe the same things. The reason they don't like Hitler is because they don't want Hitler to do it and to be the one in control of the communist worldwide revolution where everyone realizes that they're just one with the universe. They want themselves to be the ones that achieve that. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, all of this, everything that we've talked about so far, is all based upon the writings of a guy named Plato, who was a Greek philosopher. Plato wrote this book that I call, not lovingly, I was going to say lovingly call, but no, it's not loving, Plato's Sex Island, otherwise known as The Republic. Okay, the book is called The Republic.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to call it Plato's Sex Island because it's funny. So in the book, Plato's Sex Island, he talks about everything that we've just established, that the universe is this asleep, unconscious entity, which he called the good, and that all the material world is just suffering because we are not absorbed back into the good. And that the key to life, or like what we're supposed to do in life, is to basically get reabsorbed back into God by aligning ourselves perfectly with like who God is and like becoming one with God. Okay?
Right, yeah.
And so in order for this to be accomplished, Plato teaches that the world must be totally, radically changed, and the system of government must be radically changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people that rule the world must be philosophers. And philosophy for Plato is this false religion where you believe that like God is asleep and like we're all one with God and we're just living in God's dream or whatever. Okay.
Right.
Now, this is like very reductive, by the way, and I'm sure people who have read Plato's Republic, they're probably going to be like, you're not exactly explaining it exactly how it was written. Okay, I don't care. Okay, it's Plato's Sex Island, bro.
Right.
There's, if you read the book, you'll know why I call it. I don't know if I'll end up mentioning it in this because it's kind of not relevant, but it is literally like there's literally this whole like subplot about how like like everyone needs to like hold women in common and like everyone should just have like orgies and stuff. So it's like accurate. Okay, like polygamy is like a big thing in the perfect society for Plato. So, but that's not like totally relevant. So people who are following this religion need to be at the top of the government. And he taught that the people in the state, in the country, in the nation, need to be kept in ignorance about the real truth about reality. And that they need to just be secretly guided to align themselves with the universe to become one without people actually knowing that's what's going on.
Right.
So the truth needs to be withheld from them. And he believed that the truth needed to be so withheld that people didn't even know that they were born from a mother or a father. And that there was no concept of a family in this society. Because if people had a family and had family values, then they would not trust the state with total and complete trust, which means that they would not follow what the state is telling them to do so that they can align themselves with God, so that they can end the suffering of the material world. Okay?
Right.
So he taught that all children, when they're born, should be taken away from their parents, which live in these breeding camps. Okay? So there's these breeding camps. So like this is what I'm saying. Like it's just like Plato's Sex Island. It's this weird like sexual fantasy. You take all the children away from their parents in the breeding camps, and you take them and they're raised in public schools away from their parents. And in the public schools, they are taught all of these fables about how the world actually is. And so they're taught that they were grown up out of the ground like a plant. And that the nation's soil itself is what created them, that the nation created them, not their parents, not their bloodline. But that, so in other words, like a more modern equivalent would be like, you were grown in a test tube. Like, you were grown in some science experiment. You didn't have a mother and a father. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they would be telling people. But like, this was, you gotta remember, this was written like 700 BC. So like, this is like ancient, and they didn't think of things like sci-fi. Okay. Even though this is a sci-fi sort of book, it was a sci-fi book for 700 BC or whatever. Okay. So
yeah,
it puts things in like kind of a more fantastical way than how we would put it if we were to write this book. So tell the kids they're born in test tubes and they didn't have parents. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids are raised to just blindly obey the state. And they don't even know that the people leading the state have these strange, bizarre beliefs about God and everything. And the whole purpose of this whole system is so that the children will blindly follow the state and unite into one collective consciousness that just does whatever the people in charge tell them to do, so that they can become one with God and the end of material suffering can come, right?
Yeah.
So that's what Plato's Republic lays out. That is what communism, socialism, and national socialism are. Democratic socialism. It's all just different variations on the original concept of the republic or the sex island. Okay? The people that are in charge today, they want to create their own sex island. So, I hate that. This is like kind of too goofy. Okay, they want to create their own Plato Republic. Okay.
Yeah.
And what the current public school is it's taking away the children from their families, having them be raised by the state, so that they trust the state more than their own family.
Yeah.
Now they
you can see that a lot too.
Yeah. And I mean, you're black, and you've talked about this with me, like in past conversations that are on the channel, I believe. Some of them are anyways.
Mm-hmm.
With the black community, you see the destruction of the family, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
People like, don't have families. Like I mean, I know that you had a family, but I'm saying like other people, they didn't have their families. So most of them don't have families, like real, like connected, because they have like a missing father typically, right? I mean, is this accurate? You know, because unfortunately I'm not a black person, right? But I mean, from what I've heard, this seems to be accurate.
Like a lot of my friends, like when I was growing up, I definitely was one of the only people I knew who had a mother and a father. And a lot of it was like broken family, even if family was present too, right? Like there was always like just a whole bunch of issues in the family. So yeah, there's a lot of that brokenness, distrust, that whole kind of like that kind of ick.
Yeah, so then you go to the public school, right? And you have a lot, and I remember this when I was in school. A lot of people treated their teachers as their role models and as their almost like in a parental sense, right?
That's what a lot of my students do to me. I'm a teacher, by the way, for everyone watching. I teach instruments, and a lot of my students do like ask me for advice. Oh, my mom said this, my dad said this, but I don't trust my mom. I don't trust my dad. Things like that. So
yeah, and so the whole structure of it is don't develop a sense of separation from the state. Don't develop a sense of like you need to develop the sense of reliance on state employees. That's what the whole purpose is. And that's literally what you're doing at a public school anyways. You're developing reliance and familial relationships with state workers. Okay?
Yeah.
so that when you go to government facilities, you treat them like they're your family and not like your strangers, and that these
Yeah.
are untrustworthy people who rob you through taxation. And taxation is theft, definitionally, by the way, just for everyone. So these people literally rob from you, but you have to treat them like you're their family, though. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like this is what public schools are. And so I know it's like very long-winded. I'm
No, you're
interested to
good.
hear if you have any thoughts on this or any questions, but like that's why I don't like public schools, and I think public schools should be abolished.
Well, a lot of what you're saying about like the political aspect of it and like the beliefs behind it, you can definitely see that in public schools. The idea of like the kid like not trusting his family over like political or like not political over like government officials, like like I said, that's something I experienced in a vacuum, right? And at first I just didn't think anything of it, but there is definitely that like, oh, my mom said this, but like I don't really, and I mean, I've had, and, you know, I can't be doxxed because I'm saying a lot of this stuff, but I have had a lot of I've had a lot of kids who will come to me and tell me like really like intimate details about their family lives, like things that are like, oh my God, like, did you tell your family that? Or did you tell your mom that? And they'll be like, well, my mom doesn't really understand. My dad doesn't really understand. And I've had situations where, like, because it's a private instruction thing, right? So it's like a one-on-one kind of situation. So it's not part of the school system. They come after school and then I teach them for like 30 minutes or whatever. And then there would be times where like I've had like parents pull their kids from my classes because they caught wind that like the kid was like telling me about certain things. Like I've had kids like cry because they're
If you
anxious, like because they're like there's this one example of like this one girl, she was like crying in class. And the reason why she was crying is because she was overwhelmed. Her mom had her in like a lot of activities. And I asked her, I was like, have you ever talked to your mom about it before? And she was like, my mom wouldn't understand, like, da 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 da. Like, that's why I can't talk to her about it. Like, there's a lot of this like culture, and like a lot of private instruction teachers will tell you too, like, it really is a home away from home. And especially for kids whose parents have a lot of money, a lot of those kids use that as therapy. Like people use their time with me as therapy almost all the time, right? So there's definitely when they should be going home and doing it, a lot of them don't feel that way, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they're doing a lot of like sowing that distrust so that you could trust them so they could tell you what to believe, right? It's like a
Yeah.
lot of like when kids grow up, they like get on TikTok and things like that, and then their mom's like, put that down, and they're like, fuck you, mom, or something like that. Like it's always like, yeah, no, like they want that to happen. And I think a part of also public school being like a little weird is just the fact that a lot of the kids who go there, they're already like ignoring their parents and doing stuff behind their backs. But a lot of the kids act like miniature adults too, in the sense that like there's like the high school I grew up in. I'm not going to say the name, but there is definitely a lot of like sex, right?
Yeah, it's
Like,
kind of
yeah, no,
brazy.
like yeah, like there was a lot of that going on, and a lot of kids were like, I mean, a lot of kids doing drugs, a lot of kids like having sex and stuff, a lot of kids like acting like adults and doing stuff like that. And it's one of those things where because that was going on, a lot of kids who weren't doing that, they felt like they had to do it, otherwise people wouldn't respect them, right? Like you say a lot on your channel, sin begets sin. So they would do that, and then they would just kind of like it would start like this whole thing. You got like kids 14 years old coming to my class talking about, I really don't feel like I'm doing anything with my life. I'm like, dude, you're 13. Like you don't
It's
have
crazy.
anything worth going on in your life. But that's what a lot of kids think, and I really feel bad for them because they come out with like all these like standards that society and the people around them act like they're supposed to have, and it's not true. It's like they're being robbed of their
Yeah. But
they're being
another
robbed. Go
thing
ahead.
too, though, is that they're getting a lot of this from their parents too. It's not just from society. It's not just from the state, right? But it's
Yeah.
also from their own family. And like when I'm criticizing like communism or public schools, I'm
Mhm.
not trying to say that like the family is any better, because a lot of the time families are worse, you know, or maybe not
Yeah.
even worse, but like equally as bad. I don't want to say worse, but equally as bad. Because
Right.
they abuse their children too, and they teach their children false doctrine. And then another thing is that a lot of these families are made up of people who were raised by the public school and raised by the TV, and they're like just pushing the same kind of programming on their kids, you know?
Right. Right.
So we're not trying to like justify them, but like I'm just trying to like say like what is a public school? Well, it's to take people away from their families so that they will be indoctrinated into this weird religion.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, because families can definitely be broken too. They definitely can be. Um, and I do feel like, because what's the culture like? Oh yeah, I can't wait to for school to start back up so that I can have like free time, right? And mind you, these kids like they'll tell you exactly what's going on at home, especially like with me and like a lot of teachers, because like they see you for so long that you just start to become like a trusted figure for them, right? And I think that that's when the parents start to be like, okay, like I need to pull you out and like go to another teacher. Cause like, I mean, I've had this one kid, and I think I told this story before, but this one kid would come to my class, start throwing stuff, start biting me. And eventually I sat down and I was like, okay, like, why are you doing this? And he was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And I thought he was like being like rude, right? But then I thought, I was like, what if he like actually doesn't want to do this? Like, what if he doesn't want to do piano? Come to find out, his parents were like forcing him to because they both worked and they didn't really have time for him to be at home. And plus, it was one of those things where like, oh, my kid has to do something because I did something, right? So they were putting him in there and he was acting out because he didn't want to do it. And so I was like, well, I mean, I can't get him to do anything. So I'll have him do like 5 minutes and then I'll just let him kind of like do what he wants because that's when he behaves well. And then his mom would like be like, yeah, no, like we would really like for you to push him this, that, or the third. We really need you to motivate him. And I was like, well, he doesn't want to do it. And he said that you make him do it. And when I said that, that's when she pulled him out of the class. So like it's one of those things, and you get parents like that all the time, right? So I'm just like adding context for like a lot of parents who don't really stay home because a lot of parents aren't at home. They're like working double jobs and things like that. But um yeah, no, public school definitely begets a lot of sin. Not saying that like parenting doesn't, because it obviously does, but I mean there's a reason why we have a mom and a dad, right? There's a reason why.
Yeah, I mean,
So
like, I wouldn't have had any of the sin problems that I have. Well, maybe not all of them. There are a few, but I wouldn't have most of the sin problems I have if I didn't go to public school. You know, I wouldn't have got
yeah.
molested at 8 years old if I didn't go to public school. You know, like,
Right.
um, and you know, you're putting your. I mean, there's so many problems with it beyond the fact that its origins comes from this like weird false religion. Because it's also just like you're putting your kid in with a bunch of like strangers that you don't know, and you're just like
Right.
letting them hang out there,
Hmm.
you know.
Like yeah, it's really risky. And a lot of like the strangers, you think you can trust them, but the school system's like litmus test for trustworthy adults is not what you think it is. Like there are a lot of creeps that get through the cracks all the time.
Well,
So
another thing though is that there's a lot of people in the school, like students that are creepy weirdos. I mean, like, because I know a lot of these schools they have like I've seen schools where it's like it's kindergarten all the way through to seniors in high school, all in one building.
yeah,
There's a lot
yeah,
of
K through
them.
12.
Uh, there's tons of schools like that throughout like the country, right? I
Yeah.
mean, and you go you like look at these schools, right? And you have like basically adults hanging out with kids. And you know, it's like that's what happened to me, right? I'm going to like some school like this when I was like in second grade. And then, you know, there you go. There you go. It's like a recipe for disaster, right?
Yeah. Oh no, I've like obviously I hate that that happened. That was wrong, and I'm not about to like act like I've been through it. But I've been through a K through 8, and there's definitely like there are times where like girls will just run up and like smack me on the butt. Right? They happen in high school too. Like there definitely be like weird jokes that are like passed around. Definitely like weird situations. Like I remember I was like pushed up against the wall by some like girl who was like, I mean, she was attractive, but it was still wrong, right? Like she pushed me up against the wall and like just kind of like held me there with her butt. And this is like a girl who was like as tall as I was, right? And obviously I was taught at home like I don't fight girls. So like what am I supposed to do, right? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
so now
So it's
you
like
got your parents' false family morality, right? And you have the public schools, you know, satanic, you know, satanic rituals going on, and now it's colliding. Now it's colliding into like this horrifying situation. What do you do?
Mhm. You don't do anything. Well, unless you're blessed that someone sees it, which didn't really happen a lot for me. You just kind of like get used to
You
it,
know,
and then it
I didn't even
follows
like
you.
think about this. I like you've brought this to my attention. You know, I haven't thought about this, but stuff like that happen all the time too. But it seems like, you know, it seems so, for me, it seems like so petty that it's like not even worth mentioning, you know? Because it's
Yeah.
so common.
Hmm.
It's so common, like just women in like high school just sexually assaulting you. No, you know?
Yeah.
But
And
it's real. No, that's real. And it's worth
yeah.
mentioning. That's something that shouldn't be happening either.
Yeah. No. And like it, because for me too, like once I got to junior year in high school and I started like really taking care of myself, playing more sports, eating right, I started getting in shape. But I've always been like in high school, I was always kind of like a timid kind of guy. Like I didn't really like portray myself as a tough person. So like there would be some times where like, you know, I just start randomly getting hit on or like just randomly like being like catcalled and stuff. And for guys too, if it happens to us, it's difficult because like with how sexualized the culture is, a lot of guys want to get that attention from women, right? So like it's one of those things where it's like, dang, you're complaining about this. Why didn't you enjoy it? You know what I mean? So then it's just like, all right, well, I can't really talk about it with you because you're just gonna say, oh well, I'm just bragging without bragging. Um so you just kind of like keep it in, you know what I mean? Like there are lots of things that have happened to me in like school, like with girls. And I'm not trying to like blame them and paint them as like a bad person because I definitely was not any better, right? Like I was going out like chasing a lot of it. But I wouldn't push it that far. A lot of things would happen where like, hey, like you're getting hit on, you're getting like rubbed up on, you're getting like your hair touched or pulled, you're getting like a lot of these things happen. And it's like, well, I was taught that this isn't right, but it's happening to me. I don't know how to deal with it. And so now in my head, I'm like, okay, this is just normal, right? And once that happens, once you think like a bad behavior is normal, then you're just cooked. Because
Yeah.
then it's just like, all right, well, now there's that. But there's a lot. That's actually another bullet point here that I want to talk about. I think is the next one. Is just like how normalized sexual behavior is. And I know you've made like a lot of content. Are you used to talk about a lot of it? I know there's one VOD you have on Rumble where you were it was like a year ago where you were talking about that Mr. Beast guy who got caught for doing what he was doing. I think that was like one of the first VODs I watched. And it like really made me realize like, yeah, like sex really I don't know, like how do you feel about like me saying that sex runs the country in a way? Like, do you think it's that drastic, or do you think it's like
Well,
not that big of a
sex
deal?
runs everyone. Everyone
Sure,
has the
sure, sure.
flesh, and everyone has the fleshly desire to procreate.
Right.
Um,
See,
so I mean, okay, now that's like such a deep question that you'd ask that sex runs the country. I don't think you realized how deep that question was when you came up with it, bro. You did not you did not realize.
no,
Um,
I didn't.
sheesh, that's a good question, right?
Hmm.
So unsaved people, okay, I believe that they have the flesh. I believe that they have the spirit too. I believe that unsaved people
Hmm.
have their own spirit because it says in James 2, right? Like when someone dies, it's their flesh has their spirit depart from it. So just
Hmm.
as the flesh without the spirit is dead. So that means that humans have a spirit, right? So we have a spirit,
Right.
we have a flesh. And according to like Galatians 5, right? Your spirit
Hmm.
wants to do good, your flesh wants to do evil, essentially. And it's like that's when Galatians is saying that, I do think it is like a bit like boiled down, maybe overly boiled down. And I think it's
Yeah.
intentional. Like I'm not saying the Bible's wrong. I'm just saying I think like the Bible intentionally like kind of simplified that. But
Yeah.
so like the way I look at it, right, is we have our flesh, and flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Right? It cannot have eternal life. It's gonna die.
Hmm.
And your flesh is made up of your genes, right? It's created by your DNA.
Right.
The only way for your flesh to have eternal life is if it passes on its genes to the next generation, right?
Hmm.
So one of the so all the drives, all the things that we want to sin doing, right? Whether it's eating to sin, whether it's stealing, sinning, killing, sinning,
Hmm.
fornicating, sinning, it's all about making your flesh live a little longer. That's what it's all about, right? That's where the
Right.
desires come from. You know, that's really what it is. It's the desire, like even a gambling addiction, right? It's the desire of making it out big and like the prospect, the possibility that you're gonna make a bunch of money, right?
Hmm.
And that rush that you get from that possibility is what makes it addictive, you know?
Yeah.
So all sin is caused by these lusts that you're gonna live forever by, and you have to pass on your genes. If your flesh really wants to live forever, it has to pass on genes, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, in a sense, right, all of society is run by sex because you don't have a society if there is no sex. If you don't have
Right.
sex, everyone dies and there's no one left.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, society is run by sex, I guess.
Like
That's
functionally speaking,
yeah, functionally it
but
is run by sex.
right, and that's definitely true. But I mean, like in the sense that, like you were saying, a lot of people just kind of like let their urges kind of go crazy, and then they kind of just like do what they want to do. Like I was saying, like me, for example, and I'm not trying to. I don't want anyone to like feel bad for me, right? I'm a grown man, but like there's like that aspect of like, yeah, like when I was a kid, you have this situation in high school. This girl runs up, spanks me, and runs away, right? So it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, like there's like the idea of like, oh, I want to do, and I'm not saying I'm innocent too, because there's lots of like, I mean, I never like assaulted somebody, right? I've never assaulted someone sexually, but like, I've had a lot of sexual experiences with people, right? But like that was just me. I have this urge. I want to do it. I'm not loving my neighbor as myself. I'm like just doing what I want to do. I'm just satisfying my sexual urges because I feel like I can, right? And I just want to do it. And so that's kind of like what I was getting at when I was saying like sex runs society. Like it's just like a lot of people who have this power, right? And they have this desires. They have their desires and they just give into their desires um without thinking about like what's right or wrong or without like loving other people. You know what I mean?
Well, that's all unsaved people, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like in general, like just kind of like the issue of it, and like how it just seems to be normal, and it can get like hard for like people, especially like kids who are so like impressionistic. Like it can be hard for them to like navigate that. Like a lot of times, certain kids turn out to be that way, and then when you ask them why, they look at you like you're crazy because it's normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's something that happened to me for a while, where like I was like, yeah, I don't think this is right. And a lot of people will be like, oh, you're just being too strict, you're being too this, you're being too that. Like these behaviors that you're talking about are not that big of a deal. Like, oh, it's fine for this little kid, this little boy who's like 12 or 13, because of something he saw online, because his friends were like making fun of him. He like goes into his room at night when no one's looking, pulls up a video, and there you go, right? And people are like, oh well, he's not hurting anybody, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. But then that little boy decides that that video isn't enough, and he starts trying to do what he saw in the video in real life. And like you said, sin begets sin. Now he's doing something that he shouldn't do, and people are like, yeah, well, he he's just like a terrible person. Like they don't even talk about the behaviors that lead up to it, right? Like they just go like, yeah, he was just a terrible person. Like he was like a failed experiment. Like yeah, he was just a glitch in the matrix. Like he was just a bad program. But all of us, I mean, we have those behaviors, but we don't let it get that bad, you know? And I feel like that can be confusing for a lot of people. I know it was confusing for me, but maybe that's just my experience. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's
I know what the
just
Bible says, though, you know? And it says
yeah,
in like Romans
yeah.
1, it says, even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with
Hmm.
all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. I mean, that's just the
Yeah.
explanation for society and why it is the way it is today. The reason it is the way it is today is because people don't retain God in their knowledge because we don't live in a Christian society anymore, really. And so people
Right.
just are given over to the follow all the lusts of their own heart. And even when they know these things are wrong, they just do it anyways and even take pleasure in it.
Do you do you think that they do that because like they don't like, because I know a lot of people, and I think I heard a lot of this, or it seems like when Christians talk about apologetics, they frame it sometimes in a way it's like, well, a lot of people act like they don't really understand how bad they're doing, or they don't know it's wrong. But I've never really had that opinion, at least not about everybody. I just assume that a lot of people don't care. But like, what do you think is the reason why a lot of people like forget God in their thinking, or like don't take the time to consult the word before they act or think or whatever have you?
Okay, well, actually, getting back to Romans 1, right?
Hmm.
So it says the reason why, because Romans 1, is talking about this, but it has a context to it. So
Hmm.
it says what happens, right? Is they know about God, but they don't glorify him as God, but they become vain in their imaginations and their foolish heart is darkened, right? So what happens is they start coming up with these vain imaginations about what God is instead of like actually trying to talk to God or have some kind of relationship with God.
Right.
So they start coming up with vain imaginations, and it says they profess themselves to be wise and become fools. So,
Right.
what happens, right? With I think a lot of people is they know God's real, and I mean this is I'm gonna just like keep this limited to like American society, okay? Because there's
Yeah.
so many applications to this that's like kind of crazy to get into it. They go to public school and they go online or they go on TV and they're taught about evolution and shit, right? And they
Hmm.
start replacing God with their vain imaginations about evolution. That's what happens. So they stop thinking that there even is a God, and they start thinking about their vain imagination about how like, oh, survival of the fittest, and we got to evolve and shit, bro. And so then they start doing this stuff. Um but I do know that there's also just a lot of strong influences from other religions too. Like
Yeah.
there's Gnosticism with like the New Age movement where like, oh, where we got to be one with the universe, bro. We're all connected, bro. But this is just like another vain imagination that they use to replace God, right? But
Right.
so those are like I said those are like the two major things. And then there's like Islam. I know that too. But so you got like the
Yeah.
evolution agnostic front. You have the Islam Muslim front, and then you have the stupid, retarded, new age, we're all just the universe and God is the universe. But all of it just ends up leading to that they don't retain God in their knowledge, and God gives them over to a reprobate mind.
Right. Yeah. They just don't. They don't like retain them in the knowledge. They just kind of like do what they want to do, for one reason or another, and that just kind of leads to a whole bunch of situations. It is kind of sad, right? Like the system and how it's like set up, and I don't mean system as in like the political system. I mean just like the sin system, like just kind of how it like
Sin
takes like
system, not the political. That's so real though,
yeah,
right? The devil has
yeah,
his own government going on that has nothing to do with the physical governments of the earth. And we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with powers and principalities in the spiritual realm. There's a government in the spiritual realm. There's a system in the spiritual realm.
this- right. And people are like getting involved in it. They're like being taken advantage of, and I'm not trying to make this about me, but like a part of it is that like there are things that have happened. Now I'm not like coming out with anything, right? But like it is like interesting, like when I look back after studying the Word of God, learning what is right and what is wrong, and then I look back and I'm like, wow, like a lot of what I let slide, I just thought it was normal. You know what I mean? Like I thought you just acted like that, and then I can see like, okay, this is why I struggle with this now. This is why I struggle with that now. Because and maybe some of it is just because I was like dumb as a kid and I didn't like you know what I mean? But a part of it is also just like there are some things that happened in like public school and in other places, maybe some things at home too, where like you think things are normal, you think things are complacent, you think things are like easy, um and they aren't, you know what I mean? You think like you can do whatever you want and you can't. And because of that, a lot of people get hurt. But yeah, no.
Amen. I mean, that's really what happens, man. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
what you just got into, like, that's just like, that's what happens. Like, when you're born, you don't know shit. Like, you don't know
Right.
anything. And so you just get your family morality and your cultural morality, and that's all you have to go off of. And if they don't tell you something's wrong, or they tell you something that is wrong is actually right, that's just what you're going to believe.
Right, exactly. And so like you have a lot of people who don't believe like stuff, and then they get like just taken advantage of by the culture. It really is sad. It really does like it really does suck. Right. Um because like I can think because like one of the things that like uh one of the things like as a kid, like I said, my dad worked a lot, right? And so until my little brother was born, like my life was pretty much like my mom and my sister, right? And then like because of that in school, like I got used to like just like hanging around like women, things like that, which is I think you should have a male role model, and I did. But he was like trying to put food on the table. He wanted my mom to be a stay-at-home mom because he wanted a presence at home, which I respect. Um, but he wasn't there a lot because he, you know, whatever. So he like my mom takes me places with like her friends, my sisters, like her friends, and like I get used to that, and then I kind of like hear a lot of stories about how like guys like will come up to them and like just say a whole bunch of stuff, right? And I lived in the hood. So you can tell like whatever like I'm not saying stereotypes are real, right? I'm not saying all stereotypes are real. But there are a lot of things you see in movies about the hood that just happen. And I've seen a lot of it happen. And like that like shapes a lot of people. But then you have a lot of people these days who are like, "Oh, well, I want to be tough like that. Or I want to be tough like the hood. Or I want to be this. I want to be that." And I'm like, a lot of those people are broken. And a lot of them want to be fixed. They just don't see any other way. Like I was hearing this story about a pastor. He was um he was talking to someone who was on the street. I think he was selling drugs. And one of the things that he asked him, he was like, "Why are you out here doing this?" And the kid looked at him and he was like, "Yeah, no, like I know the statistics. I know that the majority of people who are on the streets are like dead by like 24." And he was just like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to live the best way I can because I know that when my time's up, it's up and it's probably going to be up quick. Like there's no hope, right? Like there's no hope." It's like what Ecclesiastes says, like when you're in the world, you pretty much have hope. I mean, you feel good for a while, but then it stops and then you're cooked. So it's like one of those things, but and I noticed that like there are sometimes when you talk about sin and you do go over that, and I really do appreciate that because I feel like especially now online, people will hear like things that go on in the real world and they like don't really have a concept of what happens in the real world because a lot of them are like allergic to going outside. So they don't really like know like what happens, or they just weren't like raised where like the internet like the internet was a heavy part of my life. But like also like I played sports in a lot and I was on the hood, I was doing a lot of stuff, so a lot of people don't know how the real world works. And I'm pretty sure a lot of your viewers are gonna like hear the stuff that like that used to happen to me like girls wise, and they might be like, "Oh well, I mean, that's not that bad. I mean, I wish like a girl would give me that attention." But it's like you don't You might wish it in a second, but it really leads you to like sin is going to beget sin,
Because it's not
and God is
universally
always doing
preferable.
it.
It's not universally preferable.
Yeah,
You might want it. You might want it, but it's not universally preferable.
right. Yeah, no, because like you have to think like he might do that to you, but what's going to end up happening is if you think that that's how it's supposed to be, then when girls don't act like that, now your feelings are going to be hurt, and then you're going to hurt other people's feelings. Like, and then that's not universally preferable. What happens if you get a girl and she's like that and she does that with someone else? Like, it's just a whole bunch of like stuff that like people don't really think about. It's not universally preferable. Like, everyone just chill out. Everyone just do the right thing. Everyone just do what you got to do. And there's that. I think there is only one more thing that I wanted to go over, and then then
Go
we can
off.
call it a day.
This is gonna be like a crazy long call, and this is already 2 hours. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is about to be it. Um, I have a topic on here, respect of persons, and I have respect of persons on here, and then I have uh well, it says because that long conversation covered almost everything, like sexual degeneracy in the culture, um, general pride and oriented to self instead of like I said the collective, but I meant the Bible. Complacency. So I have respect of persons, and then I have holding people to standards. Now I know I used to be in the comments like bugging you about like a members only video you had where like it was talking about like holding people to certain standards and like how if you don't hold people to standards it's just going to lead to a lot of stuff. And I know that the video is up there, but I was wondering if you could kind of like just kind of like speak on that, and then we can kind of like dialogue about it,
So
like the
respect of
idea of holding
persons,
people
or what? What do you want me to say?
respect of like going like respect of persons and also holding people to moral standards.
Well, that is a good question. That is a good. I had to pull up two Bible verses because there's two relevant Bible verses.
Mm-hmm.
So in Proverbs 3:19. Okay, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay. I'm gonna go there too.
Oh, sorry, 31:9. Sorry, I misread it. 31:9. 31:9. Sorry, my apologies. In
No, you're good.
Proverbs, I'm really just not able to type right now. 31:9. There we go. It says this, right? It says, "Open thy mouth, judge righteously, plead the cause of the poor and needy." Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are supposed to open our mouths and judge people. And the purpose of doing this, okay, is that all sin hurts people. All sin hurts people.
Mm-hmm.
Another commandment about this is Leviticus 19:18, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." So it says here that you should rebuke your neighbor when they're in sin so that you don't suffer sin upon them. So these two commandments, right, are literally commanding us that we should like hold people to moral standards, and when you see someone in sin, you should judge them for their sin and tell them their sin is wrong, right?
Right.
And it's very clear. We just read it. So then it says this, right? It says in Deuteronomy chapter 1, it says, "You shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. You shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's, and the cause that is too hard for you, bring unto me, and I will hear it." So, what is respecting persons, right? So it's literally when you're making a judgment, you take into account who the person is. That's respecting persons, right? So let's just say, right, there was a dispute between you and some stranger, right? Well, I know you, right? I mean, you and I, we've had like tons of conversations before this, right? So like I already know you. I consider you my friend. So if I were to judge between you, I would probably say like, "Oh, well, I know Chevy, he's a good person. He's got good intentions here. He's probably in the right. He's a saved brother. I know he's saved." That's respecting your person. I'm taking your person, who you are, into respect. That means like you're considering it when you're judging.
Right.
I'm not supposed to do that. We are only supposed to judge people based on God's moral standard. So I've experienced this a lot, right? Where when I've like done call out videos on people, and in fact, you kind of did this to me once in a comment. You were like, you know, "Why are you talking about Jack Smack? Because Jack Smack's a saved brother and he believes in free grace," right? But,
yeah.
And I'm not trying to like put you on blast, because it's just like an example, and it's like, you've experienced this example because it's literally you. That's why I'm bringing it up. Okay, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually respecting Jack Smack's person, though, because I don't know that this was your intention, but other people have done the same thing where they're like, "Well, this person's saved. This person's a brother in Christ. Why are you going against them? You're showing division in amongst the brethren." Well, here's the thing, right? The Bible tells us we don't respect people's persons in judgment. So if someone's a saved believer or whatever, that's cool and all, but that should have no bearing on whether or not their actions are right or wrong. And we're not supposed to just let people off the hook just because, like, "Oh, well, they're saved," or "Oh, they're a Christian," or "Oh, they've made all these videos preaching the word of God," or whatever. For any reason, whatever the reason is, we don't judge them like that. You see someone who's poor, and you're like, "Oh, well, maybe we should let them off for stealing because, oh, they're poor and maybe they were providing for their family." No, you don't do that. You don't respect their person. You don't respect who they are. You just judge their actions, right? Morality is not a judgment of who a person is. It is a judgment of that person's behavior. We understand?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about this, though? You got to tell me.
Well, I agree. Like, it's not like you don't go based off of like who is committing the sin. You go based off of the fact that the sin is being committed, like in the first place, right? Like, because like you were talking about with my example, I had no idea about, because I know we talked about like Jack Smack and the whole like reprobate. I know that was a whole other conversation, but I had no idea that he was doing that. I didn't even know that he believed that. I was just like, yo, as far as I'm concerned, you're free. You teach the gospel. You teach the gospel. What's happening? But I didn't know that I was respecting his person, because just because they teach the gospel doesn't mean that they're not heretical in other areas, which are important. Because like you were saying in another stream, a lot of issues can get salvific if you push them. Like I know before I gave an example, I'll give it here too. I knew somebody who like was a Christian, or well, what I considered to be like a Christian, like they were a believer, believe the right gospel, things like that. But they could never shake their lust. They thought that like there was nothing wrong with having multiple wives in the Bible, which come to think of it, I don't know if they actually thought that. I think that they just wanted to have multiple partners. And so they were trying to justify it. And then what like ended up happening is because they refused to take the Bible as it was a Romans 1 moment. It was a Romans 1 clippable moment. Like they were like, yeah, I know what was going on. Like I know what God said, but I'm not going to give him his proper authority as God. I'm not going to glorify him. And so this person started becoming futile in their thinking. But then they started thinking like, oh, well, I'll come talk to me. I'll come talk to Chevy because Chevy like I'm his friend, and I'm like, yeah, I'm your friend, but like this isn't right. And I'm not gonna not tell you it's right just because, or I'm not gonna not tell you what's wrong because like you're my friend. Like I have to tell you, like I have to do that because that's what I think is right. And this particular person didn't listen, and so they got like kids with different people and stuff like that. So it's like a balancing act for situations, and respective persons, it seems like happens a lot online. Like if you look up something, someone like a video, if you look up like a biblical video explaining something, you can bet that they're gonna like name somebody, especially in like the work salvation crowd. Like they'll be like, yeah, well, John MacArthur said this in his book. John MacArthur put it best, or John Piper really said it this way, or Vadi Balcom said it like this, and then the Free Grace it turns into like, oh well, Zane Hodges put it like this, or I like the way
Bro.
Bob Wilkin put it, or like I like the way that like Honorano Diamante or No Nonsense Christianity has a really good documentary that I think you should watch. And I'm like, even if a lot of these people do have good content pieces, at the end of the day, there's nothing that they're teaching that you couldn't find in the Bible. So it's like, if what they're saying is true and it's biblically consistent, so people. But I think it's funny how like a lot of Christians just like have this like I would almost say spiritual something against like just reading the Bible, right? Maybe it's like entertainment. I mean, I get it too because I have like, well, I don't know what your stance is on like mental illnesses or things like that, but I definitely feel like, thanks to the stuff I used to watch, I have like some ADHD running around in my head. But like, maybe it's like something like that, or I don't. Well, that's actually an interesting question right there. Like, what do you think about like stuff like mental illnesses and the way the world describes it, like ADHD, anxiety,
Well, so some of them are real.
autism.
Some of them are real, but
Yeah,
I think a lot of what psychology says about them is wrong. Like there are people who are psychopaths or whatever, but they're not incapable of feeling empathy. That's not a thing.
yeah,
They
yeah.
just are like fucked up people, and they're not born that way. Like people will tell you, they're made that way through experiences that happen to them, and they can just stop being a psychopath. Same with being ADHD. Same with being autistic. All these. I mean, there's. It would be too deep to get into all of it, but that's my take on that.
Okay. Well, I'll see now. See, a part of me wants you to go. Do you do like? What do you like? What do you like for ADHD specifically, and I guess autism too? Because those are like the two mental health issues that people like pop out the cut. Dude, I have ADHD. I can't listen to what you're saying. Like, dude, can you like speak up? Like, I don't have the attention span for this, right? And you're saying that like experiences can like have that happen? I am actually very curious to
Well,
what you have to say.
I don't really put a lot of thought into ADHD because I think ADHD is just being hyper or being bored. I don't. So that I don't know about ADHD. ADHD is
Yeah,
just being
yeah,
bored. Okay,
yeah,
and if someone's boring, they're gonna not pay attention to you, and that's what having ADHD is. You're just being boring, and
yeah.
just be more interesting. Like, you don't have to go on pills. You just need to like, you know, you don't need to put your kid
Mhm.
on pills. You just need to be more interesting. But
Yeah,
with autism is just not getting socialized enough as a kid.
yeah. I can see. Well, what are the symptoms of autism? Isn't it? I know one of the things is like people don't understand. Like people take things like too literally. I think is one of
Well,
them.
okay, here's like the issue. Autism is a whole spectrum of different mental illnesses now. So
Oh,
that's like it's not one thing. So some people that have autism are just like what we would call retarded people. Okay, they're just disabled. Okay, there's
yeah,
other people who have autism and they're just like you know, normal people that have nothing wrong with them. And you know, so like, for example, what one of the things that is a sign of someone having autism is
hmm
they have very particular interests.
yeah. I've heard that too.
Oh,
Like
so
they
having a
hyperfixate,
hobby
quote
makes
unquote.
me autistic, I guess. So I guess if I have a hobby and I like making, toy trains or something, I'm autistic now. Having a hobby makes you an autist. Like I think I literally had like a conversation with a guy on a stream. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was on a
hmm
stream or not. It might have just been on Discord, but I was having a conversation with them and they were like, "Well, I have very particular interests in like I don't know, it was probably something like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I forgot what it was. I forgot what no, it was
Yeah.
WWE. That's what it was. It's WWE. I'm like really interested in WWE. I'm like, "Oh wow, you have a hobby." Oh wow. Like I wasn't trying to be mean to him. I was trying to like open his eyes to the fact that like this isn't a mental illness to have a hobby. It's just like normal. Like
Yeah.
like I have particular interests too. I'm very hyper interested in Christianity. Does that make me autistic? Am I on the spectrum now? Because I'm like very passionate about Christianity. I'm really passionate about music too. I make music all the
Yeah.
time. All I do with my free time is I sit on the piano, blasting loud as fuck, just making songs and singing all the time. Am I autistic now? Is this
Yeah. What
autism?
is Yeah, if you have like a hobby, like because I have hobbies too. Like I teach music. I'm interested in music, interested in Christianity, interested in a lot of other stuff. So like, does that mean I'm autistic now? Because like, if that's the case, then what is a normal person? They have
Yeah.
no hobbies. Are
Yeah,
they
it's
just
a
like a
normal person. It's
drone?
just like an empty husk that's drained by the woes of society, and they have no ability to enjoy anything. That's
They're just an NPC.
they're just an NPC. So it's like the things that like actually make autism like I'm not talking about low functioning autism, okay? Because that's not even the same thing, okay? They're not the same thing. They're just two totally
Yeah.
different things. Someone who's low functioning is just someone who is like low IQ, okay? That's
Yeah. They don't
the
know a
beginning
lot.
and end of it.
Yeah.
They have physical developmental issues in their brain, okay?
Yeah.
Someone who's like high functioning autistic or they have Asperger's, that's what it used to be called at one point. Now it's called high functioning autism. What
Yeah.
that is it's just someone who was not socialized enough as a kid. So
Yeah.
the same way how like the more you practice playing catch, the better your hand-eye coordination gets. And kids who didn't practice playing catch with their dad as a kid are like clumsy and like, you know, they're like kind of like uncoordinated.
Yeah.
Right. In the same way, you can be socially uncoordinated because you didn't socially play catch, and so you're socially clumsy. And that's what having autism is. It's someone who's socially clumsy because they didn't play enough social catch. In other words, okay, they didn't talk to enough people growing up to understand what is and is not socially acceptable and how they're supposed to present themselves to another person. And so they're just socially awkward.
Which is crazy too, because that in some cases that might not even be a bad thing. Like we were just talking about like public school and how like the government wants you to act, and like we made the joke that like, yeah, like with the way that people present autism and certain mental illnesses, you would think that they just wanted you to be like an NPC character who just wants to like work and go home and sleep. But I'm like, well, that would make sense, because if their goal is to try to make people act the same, they would like call your individuality autistic.
Bro.
So like there would be like a lot of that going on. And it is
Let
like
me
a
ask you a
tricky
question.
hole.
Let me ask you a question. Right? Do you think I'm
Mhm.
autistic? Would you judge me as being autistic?
Well, I don't even know how to judge someone as autistic.
Well,
So,
I'm looking at all of this, and all of
mhm,
this would tell me I'm autistic, right? But yeah, I don't think
okay.
anyone who would watch my channel would think I'm autistic, as far as I'm aware. Now, there's some people that might insult me and call me autistic. No
Right, but you're
one
talking
would
about
think
like
I'm autistic, though.
objectively.
Okay, like no one who's like
R-
actually like trying to be honest would say I'm an autist. Okay, these are the signs of autism. Okay, so as a toddler, you don't respond to your name when people call you. Okay, they prefer
Okay.
playing alone. These are the signs of autism, right? Not interested in taking turn games and turn based games. That's like, except for the middle one. That's like me. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't,
Yeah.
and you know
Most
why is this?
most
Why
kids
is
don't want to
this?
share.
Why would someone be like this? Oh, what were you gonna say? Sorry, I didn't mean to
Well,
talk over
no,
you.
no, you're good. I was just gonna add like most kids are like that in kindergarten. Like you call their name, they might not want to listen to you. They might be doing it deliberately. Like if you have like they don't play well with others. I mean, a lot of kids don't play well with others, especially if they're kids. No, that's my sandwich. What the fuck? Get away. So, yeah, no, that's like weird. But keep going, keep going, keep going.
So then school age child talks about a
Hmm.
narrow range of topics. Okay. So like they're just interested in like particular things. They're not interested in everything. They have particular interests. Okay, bro. Doesn't everyone? Is that not how everyone is?
No, they want you to be an AI generated chat GBT brain child.
Okay. Difficulty
Good.
using and interpreting body language. Okay. I don't think I've struggled with this, but why does this have to be an inborn mental illness? Could this not just possibly be that they didn't have their parents talk to them and they didn't interact with enough children to learn what the different body languages are and what different facial expressions are because they were lonely as children?
Yeah, and a lot of that too is like a lot of people have different body languages for different things. Like some people get passionate, but people mistake it for anger. That doesn't mean you're autistic. It just means that that person gets more passionate about certain things. Same thing like sadness. Like same thing like, and then you know you have certain people who like joke, and then like or some people are just fake. So like they smile in your face and then you interpret that as like, oh, they're my friend, and then they like secretly want to like expose you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's like different, it's different facets. But keep going,
So
keep
then
going. This is
speaks in
interesting.
a
Anyway.
monotone or sing-song voice. Well, these are like opposites. What? Yeah. So
Here,
sometimes I
you
talk
like
in a
animated
sing-song
or
voice. All Irish people talk in a sing-song voice. So what are we talking about, bro? Uh, bro, what is this?
can they define sing song?
So then,
Like I don't know. Go ahead.
so then, in adolescence, they avoid eye contact. Okay, well, I don't really like making eye contact with people all the time. Sometimes it's kind of scary. It's kind of intense.
Hold on. Yeah, if you make too intense eye contact, people are gonna think you're like weird.
But it's like, yeah,
Hold
like
on.
sometimes
Go
it
ahead.
causes me to be anxious. Okay, you know, it has nothing to do with that I'm autistic. Okay, it's that it is like if you're talking to someone who doesn't like you and you're getting a sense that they might not like you because you know you're not socialized enough and you're not really
Yeah.
sure how to take people. You might not want to make eye contact with them because they're kind of scary.
Yeah. This
Uh,
and also to go along with that, I just looked it up because that eye contact thing, it says right here that direct mutual gaze and conversations only happen around 3 to 3.5% of the time. And when people talk, they only look at each other in the face around 12% of the time. So like most people when you talk to them, eye contact rarely even happens. Like that's like people think that people have conversations like James Bond, like just staring at you directly in your face. like like how alpha males be talking about like gazing at people like wolves. Like, yeah, you're supposed to just like look at your prey, and then the prey is like a random person talking about the weather. But yeah, no, this just
bro.
being normal. But keep going because I'm like, is there any more?
So then finds
Or
it hard to see others' perspectives. And then finally doesn't get certain social rules.
that's the one I've heard a lot.
So,
You don't get social rules.
okay. Okay, well, hold. There's more. But so for all of this, right? It's just
Mhm.
it's all just like you were not socialized enough.
Right.
Okay? And I've done
Mhm.
all this in the past, and I don't do any of this anymore except the eye contact thing. Like I probably like don't always make eye, but like you just said, most people don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
Okay? Like so it's like it's all just not being socialized enough. I used to be monotone. I used to, not understand certain social rules. I used to find it hard to see other people's perspectives. I used to prefer playing alone. You know why? Because I did not get socialized when I was growing up. So I didn't
Right.
get these kinds of experiences. So then it's like repeats words and movements. You know why I used to do that? Because I didn't get socialized enough growing up. I used to do that. And I didn't get socialized enough growing up. So I wasn't sure how to pronounce words. And I would practice pronouncing words by
Yeah.
repeating them to get the pronunciation right. Because I was afraid that I wasn't saying it right. And I was self-soothing by going like, oh, I mean, I can't think of a word right now, but just repeating the word over and over again, like quietly, just to
Yeah.
like get the word right. You know?
And I know, yeah, and I know some people, just as a side note, I know some people like they repeat words and phrases a lot and like they'll say the same thing over and over again because when they were at home and they would talk, their family wouldn't listen. So they just repeated things so that they could get it heard, or like they could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they could be heard. So it's a lot. It's different than just you have autism. I know a lot of families like that. They don't listen to their kids when they speak because they think they're boring. As if you're supposed to be entertained by a child, then you're like 38. But go ahead.
So then toddlers, yeah, this is still toddlers here now. We're going back to toddlers again. Won't
Okay.
eat certain foods of certain textures. Is this not every child that does this? What are we talking about? Every kid does this. I did this. You did this. Everyone did this, okay? I don't know what the fuck we're talking about here.
Yeah.
This is
That's
insane.
insane.
This is insane.
This is literally insane.
Okay. Gets attached to unusual objects.
What? First of all, what determines an object is unusual?
So the picture
And
here
second
that
of
they
all-
have is like a child hugging a water bottle. But
That's not unusual.
that's,
That's his water bottle. Like, give him his bottle back. Like, what are you doing? Or like how kids used to like their blanket. Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't see that
can
very
only have
often
pictures.
anymore, but like, you know, it's not a common stereotype I see anymore. But still, it's
Yeah.
like, this is like normal people shit. Difficult. So then
Yeah.
school-age children or adolescents now. Difficulty moving from one task to another. Bro, like, this is like everyone. This is like everyone. Okay, this is just like anyone who like struggles to be a responsible person is autistic.
Right. Yeah. No, there's no like, I mean, I'm a teacher. Kids don't want to move on. Like, that's just what that is. Like, they're not, some adults don't want to either. But I don't chalk that up to them being autistic. I just chalk that up to them either not wanting to be there or just being an asshole.
Prefers
But
familiar routines. Is that not everyone? Like, bro, what are we talking about? Prefers familiar routines.
you know, there's some people who say that, like, you know how like people, because I've seen people on social media, I don't know if you have, but they'll like be like, they'll claim they're the type of person to like always try new experiences, and they always like to shake things up, and like, so that's what they say. I mean, I've always just considered those people unstable. But like, yeah, that's what some people will say. They'll just be like, "Oh, you're so boring. You don't want to try new things." And I'm like, "Well, trying new things costs money, and I am not. I don't got that." So,
So then
but yeah, there is that. There is that right there.
has highly focused interests. Bro.
Okay, we talked about that.
So like this is just like insane, right? Like so first off, like a lot of this is just normal that everyone does. Like
Mhm.
and the guy, it's not like abnormal. Like the guy who was on to, right? Like he's like very, very hyper focused on WWE. And it's like
Right.
that's not abnormal though. That's not like
Yeah. No.
everyone likes some kind of sport or like has some kind of hobby interest, okay? You know,
Mhm.
you go to anyone, like you're always gonna find like you have that like one uncle who's like really into football, you know? And you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're into like football or anything. I'm not into that stuff. But like everyone has like some kind of thing that they're interested in, right? You know,
Yeah.
I'm interested in, you know, riding my motorcycle, you know, and I'm interested in music. Okay. That's what I'm interested in, right? Everyone has some sort of like hobby that they're like hyper focused on and they're like really into it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why that's like so bizarre, so strange, so insane for people. And then a lot of this is still just normal people shit, but it's what happens when you don't socialize enough and you don't understand social rules. You don't understand, oh, when someone makes this expression, they're mad at me. Well, why wouldn't they know that? Maybe it's because their parents did not give them enough attention. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Right.
It's unfathomable. How could someone end up this way? It must be just something they're born with. It's like bigotry. Honestly, like autism is just bigotry, right? Calling someone autistic is just
Yeah.
bigotry. When I say calling someone autistic,
Yeah.
like clearly there is autism, okay? All of these patterns that we've been talking about, there are real people who do follow all of these patterns, and they're kind of fucked up people who struggle to socialize, and they talk with a speech impediment, and they have problems. Okay? But
Yeah.
sitting here and saying, well, you're just like born with this, and like you have like this sinful nature that prevents you from being like a normal person. That's just bigotry. I mean, really, it's just serious like bigotry. It's like the same thing that we were talking about earlier, where like black people have a sinful nature that just makes them like do evil shit.
Yeah. It's like the same thing. You're just finding a new way to categorize people. And also, like, I just wanted to point this out too, with like the stupid generic ways that people try to categorize autism. Like, it made me think. I was like, because I was like, so basically, it would say basically by those standards, everybody would have autism. You would think. And then I was like, the number of people. I looked up the number of people who self-diagnosed or have been diagnosed with autism, and it says like 1 in 32 adults, and it says that the statistic has increased by 300 to 400% within the last 20 years. And I'm like, well, yeah, because when having your own life is autistic, then of course it's gonna increase, because people are like, yeah, like,
1 in
oh, you like
44
listening
kids
to.
is identified with autism, 241% higher than baseline stats in 2000. Boys are 4% more likely to be diagnosed than girls. Oh my god, dude. This is so
That is
crazy.
so funny. Well, you know what though? That's interesting, and this is like a little tangent that I'm about to go on, but like, they say that boys are more likely a little bit to have autism, and in the teaching community, there are more girls that are teachers than guys that are teachers, right?
Yeah.
And I have noticed that like a lot of the way that women will talk about men and a lot of girls will talk about boys, sometimes they'll talk about them like they have like mental problems. Like if they're like super hyper, or if like they don't want to like talk to you, or like if they don't behave in a super socialized way, they'll be like, oh, there's something wrong with that guy, right? Now, anyone like me who hears that, I would just be like, well, maybe they just don't like you. Maybe they just don't want to talk to you. Like maybe they're thinking about something else. Maybe you should just leave them alone and worry about yourself, right? But like a lot of people, they'll be like, yeah, like I was talking to him and he just didn't seem involved in the conversation. Da 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 da. Like, I think that there's something wrong with him. I was like, or maybe you just talk too much
Yeah.
and he was trying to get away from you. Because I've seen that happen a lot. Like I've seen, like, cause me, like I talk a lot, right? I can talk a lot, and a lot of people call me charismatic. A lot of girls call me charismatic, but that's not because I'm not autistic or whatever. That's just because, I mean, I spent a lot of times with girls, and I used to have issues with flirting. It has nothing to do with me being socialized. It's just I'm used to being that way. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
anything, I need to stop. But like, they'll say like, oh well, like you're having a conversation with me, but he didn't want to talk to me, like he didn't want to do it, he just like comes to work, does his job, and goes home. And I'm like, so you mean he does what he's supposed to do? Like he doesn't waste time with you because, I mean, he doesn't know you. He's not supposed to just like drop everything and like socialize. But
Yeah.
I think it just like hits that. I think that in particular is just like a whole bunch of people who come to work not wanting to work. At least in the teaching community, there's a whole bunch of people that come to work to like get therapy and like talk about their issues when some people just want to come to work and do their jobs, or like some people don't just want to talk. But I do think that like these days, I don't know if society really knows how to handle like men, I think in a way, just because like how do I say this? I'm gonna get fucked over for saying this, but I feel like a lot of girls and then a lot of women are more readily willing to like go with the flow, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm like just tripping, but like from the way I look at it, a lot of women are just like more willing to like just kind of go along to get along because they don't really want the problems, right? Whereas a lot of men, if they hear something, you know, they got that dopamine in them, they're more likely to be like, no, like, fuck you. And I feel like that kind of like unwillingness to like go with the flow is what people call autistic, right? Like, oh, you're supposed to look at me when I'm talking to you. What if I don't like you? What if you're a weird
Yeah.
teacher? Like, what if you don't want, you know what I mean?
Well, that's just like
But
male nature and female nature. I mean, the woman just went along with what the serpent said because they're just like they just kind of go along with whatever the authority tells them, you know.
right.
And
Yeah.
men don't do that. Men are like very rebellious and like I don't know what it is. And then the red pill community will like have this totally inverted and they're like, men are the ones that listen to the authority and women are rebellious. It's like, what are you talking about? Are you like stupid? No. No, women will just blindly follow authority. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't want to put my wife on blast, right? But there was this
Mhm.
situation. We were going to this church and we were talking to this pastor about like his like false doctrine. He like believed in like pre-trib rapture stuff. And
Mhm.
we're talking to him. And we come away from the conversation and I'm like asking her like what her thoughts are. She's like, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I'm not trying to put her on blast, right? I'm just like making like an example. I'm like, how did you not
Yeah.
see anything wrong with it? And so we like start talking about it and she's just like, oh, well, he like seems so confident in what he was saying. And like, you know, he's like a pastor and he's like authoritative. So I just kind of like
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
just
Yeah.
blindly followed what he was saying. But it's like, so that's like how women are. Women just kind of follow whatever is like, whatever an authority figure tells them, whether it's the mob rule authority or if it's like an actual, like legit, like cop or something. They kind of
Mhm.
just do whatever
Yeah.
the authority figures tell them. And that's why, you know, Eve was deceived by the serpent because they are just more naturally going to follow their man, okay? That because that's how God
Yeah.
made them. He made them to be a helpmeet for the man to, you know, obey the
Right.
man and do what the man tells them. So that's just
Right.
how they naturally are. Women naturally just obey whatever authority figures are in their life.
Yeah, that's why like and I see that too sometimes cuz like and cuz you know a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, women don't want to like follow rules and stuff." And I'm like, "Well, no, usually if they don't want to follow rules, they don't like you." But
Yeah.
like they won't like they like for example, like there's a lot of girls I know who they say like, "Oh, I won't let a man lead me," da 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 da, right? But like that might be romantically, but a lot of them have issues with romance. They're like mistreated romantically, right? That's not the same thing. But like they still have jobs. They listen to their boss, and if you act up at work, women are usually going to look at you like, "What is wrong with you?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the work. Like it just is what it is.
Yeah, men are the ones that goof off during work. That you don't see women doing that, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, you see
and
women
if you
being
do see them doing
lazy.
it,
You see women being
yeah,
lazy. You don't see women goofing off during the job though.
yeah, and if you do, it's usually because either the boss is goofing off and set the precedent,
Yeah.
or like they see like someone else that they like goofing off, and then they're just like, oh well, if that they're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it too. Like, but there has to be like you're not gonna see
Yeah.
this singularity of chaos.
They're not
It's
going to
just
take
in
the
the produce
initiative
aisle.
to do that. They're not going to take the initiative to do that.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you know, you're probably right. You're probably right. It's like, because what a lot of people do in absence of objective morality is they try to universalize their own personal feelings about things as though that's a moral standard. So I wonder if what it is that women just, like you said, don't understand men. And so they have to universalize like their own way that they do things as though that's like a moral standard, and then just like enforce that on men and say, well, if a man does something I don't like, that's like wrong. That's wrong because they're doing something I don't like and I'm not accustomed to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all I'm saying to that is I just looked it up. The ratio of female to male psychologists is heavily skewed towards women. That's all I'm saying.
Sheesh.
That's all I'm saying. It's 64. Yeah, making up roughly 2/3, around 64 to 69% of the active psychology workforce. Meaning for every male psychologist, there are about 2 female psychologists. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Maybe they don't or maybe they don't want to understand men. Maybe they just don't like men because of a bad experience. So they're trying to like get back at them. You know what I mean? So it could be, you know, we might be onto something. We might be.
This might be something for deeper thought. Maybe we'll have another conversation. We'll come back to this topic. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I think we should start wrapping things up because it's like almost like 3 hours now. It's like 3 hours. It's good content though. It's good content.
Yeah.
I think people are gonna
really
enjoy
good
it.
content.
I think people are gonna get stuff out of it. Hopefully you got something out of it. I hope.
No, I got a lot out of it. Yeah, and I think someone should definitely go in the comments and put like timestamps. But like, there's definitely going to be, well, AI does that now, so there's definitely going to be like a lot of good in here. But I don't have anything else to cover. I think I pretty much covered everything.
All right, man. Well, it's been a blessing talking to you, and thank you so much,
You
bro,
too.
for calling in. I had to get ready for church, bro. So that's why I'm like freaking out. I'm like, bro, I got to get out of here. I got to get ready for church.
No, you're good.
Right,
you're
man.
good. You're good.
May God bless you. All right.
May God bless you too.
Peace. Once again, if you'd like to schedule your own call-in show, just email me, yourfriendlyhood@protonmail.com, and we will do it.